Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This is our final video before we have that big day of feasting and hopefully safely. Don't get together with too many people, but there's enough people telling you already not to do that. So we're going to tell you about more happier things like great wine, but we've done a lot of that lately. So why don't we concentrate instead on great food? Last minute shopping, besides those bottles of wine you've forgotten to pick up, will hopefully include, when you're visiting the wine steward at least, some of the wonderful victuals that you will be enjoying that day. And what we can help you especially with on Thanksgiving is obviously not the turkey or the cranberry sauce, but the good things that you might put out ahead of time. The cheese board. Let's talk about the cheese board, shall we? Let's talk about all the wonderful things that can go on there. The automatic thing, of course, is cheese, and we have so many different types down there. I wanted to tell you about 3 of them and then tell you about how you could make that cheese board a little more extravagant by adding some other wonderful things. So let's just quickly remind you that we have a camembert from Italy. Camembert typically comes from France, right? Well, this is camembert from Italy, made with, of all things, buffalo milk, water buffalo. That's the same animal that makes that wonderful burrata that we sell downstairs, and mozzarella. But in this case, it's a camembert. It's wonderful cheese. You ought to try it out. The whole idea with this cheese board thing is to surprise the palate with all kinds of different flavors. So have a soft cheese like that camembert. Have a hard cheese like this beauty. And not only is it beautiful in color, and therefore the eyes are enticed by seeing white cheese and more colorful dark orange cheese, but this is wonderfully flavored too. This comes from northern France. We've talked about it before, so we won't belabor the point, but this is called mimolette, and it's very chunky, as you may be able to tell. It's about the same texture as a Parmigiano Reggiano, obviously different in color from that. It's got a little bit of that crystalline thing going on that excites the palate, and it's just so pretty. So you can have a knife by this cheese. And in fact, this is a good knife. I should have taken it out of the package, but we've got some of these knives that are not only beautiful, but they are blunt and better for the softer spreading cheeses, as well as this knife here that can do just about everything. It's like the Ginsu of cheese knives. And so you can have some fantastic cheese cutlery on your table too, and a different device for each kind of cheese. Soft cheese, the hard cheese, this guy, I would chunk it up like little rocks and have it spread out all over that cheese board. It's a nice cheese to have in chunks, I think. There's no possibility of getting nice uniform slices out of it. This is another cheese I want to tell you about real quick. This is Brie Savarin. It is a classic from Burgundy, France, and it is made of cow's milk. It's a triple cream. It's extremely decadent. I think if the health authorities go beyond putting us into curfews and staying at home orders and all that and tell us that, hey, nope, now you have to hibernate for the next 3 months until there's a vaccine, I think this is the cheese to have on Hibernation Eve. Before you head for your cave, eat a whole one of these. It's 75% milk fat. It's going to provide you, just like a grizzly bear might need, all that fat before going into hibernation. It'll add a little to your jowls and other parts of your body. I'm being silly, but this is decadent, beautiful triple cream cheese from Burgundy, France that deserves to be on your cheese board. I did tell you, I did suggest that the cheese board is made more interesting by other things as well. So let's tell you about some of those. Really, the whole idea is the bigger the cheese board, the more opportunity you have for different flavors like salty and occasionally a little bit sweet as well. And also textures. We talked about soft cheese and hard cheese. So, and also we can talk about oils as well. So some things can have a little bit of an oiliness going on, right? And that's, of course, when we get into the charcuterie game. This is a chorizo or a salchichon. Where'd I go? From Spain. It's the real deal. Jose Andres, the great restaurateur and chef, had a lot to do with getting this product over here from Spain. And this is his own house brand, actually, Fermin. Thank you, Jose, for that. Let's also tell you we've got, well, of course, prosciutto. Prosciutto can go on your cheese board. Nice salty meat. You get the salt, you get the sweet, you get the savory. How about chorizo sarta? And the reason why I'm putting this out for about the 10th time is because I want to tell you that even though we sell this sliced, get it like this. Get it intact, and you will enjoy a better chorizo sarta. It's better this way. It's worth the chopping. Watch your fingers and slice it real thin, and you're gonna like this even more than you like the sliced version that we sell. What else is in here? How about Maracona almonds? More about the salt. So yesterday, Don and I took our unroasted raw almonds, our Maracona almonds, big old bag of them, and did a whole bunch of these tubs. We roasted them, added olive oil and salt, as you see here, and then others got the treatment with pimenton, which is Spanish paprika. So also great on that cheese board. What else can go on the cheese board? Well, how about Castelvetrano olives? I would say 10 years ago, nobody had heard of these things, and now they are the rage. This is a more buttery textured olive, and it is got a nice richness to it. It's not as tangy and tart as some olives are. Maybe you want that, but more people are really getting into Castelvetranos these days. Put them on the table. How about, hey, this is a classic, right? Along with that, especially the Brie Savarin cheese from Burgundy, this would be like, of course this has to be right next to it. Cornichon, the best damn pickles in the world, of course, come from France. So these are direct from France, Cornichon. That would be wonderful on there as well. What else? Did I cover everything? No, I did mention sweet. Just little bits of sweet. You know, we save most of our sweet for later on in the evening for dessert, but why not, in fact, cube up some of this. This is a fig almond cake from Spain. So little chunks of this on that cheese board would be wonderful too. Alternatively, same idea, but a different country. From Italy comes something we've talked about, maybe a couple of weeks ago. This is panforte. It's chocolate panforte. Do little chunks of this guy, little cubes. It would be wonderful on that board. Again, the whole mix of sweet, savory, and textures as well, soft and chewy and hard and crunchy. Oh man, I'm hungry now. I think I've pretty much covered the cheese board thing. And I only want to tell you about maybe 3 or 4 wines today. I've already been talking about wine for Thanksgiving for the last probably month and a half. So let's just put out a couple of reminders for you. What about our little friend over here? Apparently, according to Kathy, having a mouse on your cheese board is a must. Now, this particular mouse was found in a pharaoh's tomb about 80 years ago, believe it or not. We only have 2 of these. Actually, we have a few more. But we bought all that Egypt had of these artifacts. We think it's a 3,000, 4,000-year-old representation of a mouse. It belongs on your cheese board. How cool. Everybody's going to ask about it. It's very heavy. It's cool. This thing's going to last forever. It's a very cute mouse. Little mousey can watch me talk about wine now. All right, so, hey, how about this? Muscadet. But I'm not going to show it to you until I pour some more. Now I can show it to you. I believe I did represent this wine once to you before, but it's a great Thanksgiving wine because it will work with anything. It's a no oak white made out of a grape called Melon de Bourgogne from the Loire Valley of France, the Western Loire. And it is refreshing and lean. And if you have raw oysters, it's fantastic with that as well. But it will work with Thanksgiving dinner because it won't knock anything off the table. It's not an oaky white. It's a crisp, refreshing white with a skosh of fruit, but not too much fruit. It's vivacious. The price is great. The alcohol is low at 12.5%, so Aunt Susan won't get like shit-faced too early and make a nuisance. This is really nice wine, but I'm going to prove it to myself once again because I've only had it, it was about an hour ago, so let's make sure. It makes me make those slurpy sounds, those happy slurpy sounds. My palate is awakened. I am now officially hungry. I'm salivating. That's what this wine does, and it will do so nicely with just about any food on the Thanksgiving table. And it prices in the mid-teens. It's very effective price-wise as well. So this is the wine region is called Muscadet if you want to say that. And it's a Domaine de Bois something. I can't read it. Don't have the glasses on. Anyway, we will have it up there on the Thanksgiving display. As soon as you walk in the store, look to the left. You're going to see scads of wines that we've chosen for that meal, including this Muscadet. Come and get it. Affordable, delicious, will work with the food. Let's tell you about a sparkling wine. We have so many good champagnes down there, it's kind of hard to choose which one to discuss. But talk about beautiful, right? How's this going to look on your table? And just imagine, it's going to be 1/3 each, or roughly thereof, Pinot Meunier, Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay. This is called Bellefonds. It's got a lot more words on there, but we just call it Bellefonds because that's easier to say, and we can drink it sooner if we don't say the whole word. Belfond is a rosé champagne, obviously. It's bone dry, but what's interesting about this producer is they use a lower bar of pressure in the wine. So most of the time, champagne is bottled at 6 bars of pressure. This Belfond is 4.5. What does that do? It changes the texture. It makes it a little softer and a little less aggressive with the bubbles, and it makes it more of a food champagne. And we've been talking up the idea that champagne is no longer just for the beginning of your evening, but can be included right with dinner. This is what this champagne house, in fact, specializes in, food champagnes. And this gorgeous rosé, dry rosé with a little bit of body to it, is going to do amazingly. And it looks pretty too, right? Okay, got that guy out of the way. Ah, my old friend. And yet a new wine for us from the region of Châteauneuf-du-Pape. We've talked about Châteauneuf-du-Pape until we're blue in the face every year. We're going to find some way to have some kind of a Châteauneuf-du-Pape event this year. It would have been last Sunday, and of course, kind of hard to do events right now. But this wine may well be included if we can still access it. This is called Janas. The producer name is Janas. And Janas makes several different Châteauneuf-du-Papes. When the year is a good year, they'll make different what they call cuvées. You may know that Châteauneuf-du-Pape is allowed to use about 13 different grape varieties in their red wines. As a matter of fact, you could say it's over 20 because now they're counting all the mutations of certain grapes, like Grenache. Grenache can be Grenache Blanc, it can be Grenache Gris, and so on. And so now if you want to have a more impressive list of what can be used in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, count the mutations as well. This wine is cool because this particular cuvée from Janas uses one grape, the Pinot Noir of the Rhone. It's not Pinot Noir, it's the Pinot Noir of the Rhone. What is the most pretty, charming, fragrant grape of the 3 main grapes of the Southern Rhone Valley? You've got Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. Which one is the pretty one? Which one is a little more like Pinot and super fragrant? And yet, because it is a slightly higher alcohol, sometimes a much higher alcohol, it's also got gorgeous body to it. We proved it once again the other night when a small gathering enjoyed a bottle of this. Grenache is the Pinot Noir of the Rhone, and this is 100% Grenache. So it's a really cool Châteauneuf-du-Pape that says no to all the others. That happens in the, they do the blends with other bottlings from this producer, but this one is 100% Grenache, and it is very, very beautiful. It's going to work amazingly with turkey. It's not our least expensive Châteauneuf-du-Pape, but it is very, very special. I recommend it, highly recommend it. If you want to spend a little for a special night with a Châteauneuf-du-Pape, get into the Janas. This is the last wine I want to show you. We're back to white. This is a white wine from Spain, of which I bought extra because I felt that it would be especially nice with your champagne, your Thanksgiving dinner, and your champagne. Why don't you mix them? No, don't mix them, okay? We're gonna have a reading right now from our wine club notes. How about that? So we'll end this video, the last video before Thanksgiving, with a reading because this wine appeared in our white wine club, and we spend a good bit of time writing notes about each one of the wines. So it's very personal, what we write here. Let's tell you what we told you. If you were wine club members, you already know this stuff because of course you read your notes. The rest of you need to know. This is 2019 Villerma Blanco. Villerma is the producer. This comes from Ribeiro, Spain. It's made of 80% Trechadura, 6% Torrontes, 4% Godeo, 4% Albarino, 3% Lorero, and 3% Lalo. Phew. What's its attitude? Its attitude is lush. Lush. Not you. The wine is lush. Yes. And you may become lush. Food? What kind of food would you want to pair with it? Fish or shellfish? Or why not? Thanksgiving dinner. And we went on to say, here's the factual tidbits. Welcome to green Spain. That's what we often call Galicia, Spain's province in its northwest, perched above Portugal and abutting the Atlantic. This is the land of pilgrims making their way to Santiago de Compostela, deep river valleys, and a lot of rain, which provide the green. Its most famous wines are grown closer to the coast and sometimes within direct view of it. Those would be the Albariños that you've no doubt experienced by now. Ribeiro, the Ribeiro region that we're referencing here, is just a little inland from that coastal place called Rias Baixas. And while Albariño may still happen here, it becomes but a participant in the local blends. So there is a little Albariño in this wine. The relative protection from the Chile Sea also affects the style of Ribeiro wines. And then we get into style. We talk a little bit about what is the style of this wine? Why does it work with Thanksgiving? And style is what drew me to this wine long before I had heard the long list of ingredients. Drawing in a deep breath from the glass brought me 3 divergent yet completely cooperative impressions. I like to use big words in the notes, sorry. The first was flowers, orange blossoms perhaps. The second, fruit. Mandarins and lemons and nectarines all had their say. The third was a vaguely green tinge I'd classify as herbal, in a good way. Tarragon, basil. All of these sensations didn't compete, but added up to a really fun aromatic experience. All we're talking about is the nose so far. Don't worry, these notes don't go on forever, but we've covered the nose. Once in the mouth, the wine suggested the same fork in the road set of effects. There was the immediate sense of nearly tropical lushness, a breadth of feel Albarino on its own wouldn't typically provide. There was also a citric, nearly lemony, acidic effect, offering containment to the lush fruit. Finally, and perhaps more vaguely, there was a delicate salinity energizing my tongue once the wine had left. Perhaps the Atlantic, from a bit of distance, was still having its say with that briny thing going on. I hope you enjoy thinking about this wine as several pieces and that you'll then let it gratify you as one wine, a sum of many parts. Why does it work for Thanksgiving? Because it's got complexity and yet it's no oak. It's lush in texture. It entices the nose and the mouth. It keeps the mouth awake. Think of all the heavy foods you're about to savor. That's great, but you need something levitating along with it. That's what this wine's for. Wine from Spain. I appreciate your watching these videos every week. I hope you and your family have a fantastic and safe Thanksgiving. We sure appreciate it. Come in. We are here for the next 2 days to take care of you and your Thanksgiving needs. And our daughter Mary Denham's products will be here if you pre-ordered them from Bloom's End. They get here tomorrow. So thanks so much for everything you've done. Once again, happy Thanksgiving.